Welcome back, my dear sweet friends. This is the channel Frugal Money Saver. My name is Emmy and my husband is Paul. We are so happy you are here with us today. We have a great zero waste food video for you today. We're not only going to go into the recesses of our refrigerator and pull out little bits of food here and there and make some amazing dishes with it. We are also going to just show you some easy ways to make more room in your freezer. Having more room in your freezer is a plus right now because the way that prices are rising on food, items that we use go on sale, we can stock up. Just a couple of really easy tips to make your food storage preparation a little easier. How many times do you cook a chicken and toss the bones? Or you take beef that has bones and toss the bones? Well, today we are going to encourage you to stop throwing out what you think is useless garbage. We are going to show you how to make some super easy beef and chicken stock. We're going to show you how you can make your own stock to use into sauces, soups, recipes. Whenever a recipe calls for a cup of stock, how many times do you have to open a big container or a can or use one of those super salty bouillon cubes? No more. The first segment of our video is going to be just a quick, easy tutorial on how you don't ever have to use those yucky little bouillon cubes again. I'm going to turn the camera around. You're going to come into the kitchen with us. Super easy, frugal way to use up things that you would normally just toss. Well, good morning. Can you see that time? It's about 20 to 6 a.m. and I am already in the kitchen. The noise you hear is Paul's coffee pot. I just started it for him. So I am going to start today's meal prep by using up bits and pieces of everything that I can find in my freezer and in my refrigerator. First thing I'm going to do is make some crock pot chicken stock. I have a carcass here, some bones, skin, some frozen celery that was totally wilted. And to that, I've got about a quarter of an onion, couple of straggly carrots, and 2 cloves of garlic. And I'm just going to add that all in. We're going to add some cracked peppercorns and about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to cover everything with water, put the crock pot lid on, set it to high, let it cook for about 5 to 6 hours to get all the flavor out of everything. It's very, very easy to make your own stock. As you can see, we're basically using scraps. I added about 8 cups of water. Now I'm just going to cover this and let it cook on high. Now we're moving over to the stove. We had a small prime rib for Christmas. These are the bones. I froze them right away as soon as the meat was finished. And I am going to start making some beef stock now. And this I'll do on the stove because my crock pot is being occupied right now with the chicken stock. We're going to follow exactly the same steps like we did for the chicken stock. Little carrots, a little celery, onion, garlic, salt, and pepper. Perfect. I'm going to be using the inner leaves of the celery, and they pack a tremendous amount of flavor. All these are going to my beef stock. This way I don't waste the beautiful outside celery. In the chicken stock, I had used the frozen one that had been wilted, but for the beef stock, we're going to use all these inner leaves. So here is what our beef stock recipe looks like before I add the water. You can see we have some red onion, the tops of the celery, carrots, we have garlic, about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then some freshly ground pepper. I just covered it all with water. Now, depending how much stock ingredients you have, that's going to be how much water you used. I used about a half a gallon, about 8 cups to cover everything. I am going to cover it, bring it to a boil, and then I am going to reduce it to a low simmer, and I'm going to let that simmer for a couple of hours. The beef stock came to a boil, and now what I'm going to do is lower it to a simmer and let it simmer for an hour or two covered. You don't want to leave this soup pot unattended because it is on top of the stove. I simmered this soup for 3 hours. This is the beef bone broth. And you can see, look at the meat falling off of this bone. I will, once it's cooled, pull all the meat off and add it to the stock and possibly cool a piece and give it to Dixie. But we're gonna let it cool just for a little while before I put it in the refrigerator. This is a way to take bones that most people would have just tossed out. And now we have several cups of homemade beef broth for our recipes. Here's our crock pot chicken stock. This cooked 6 hours on high. I let it cool for a little while, and then once it cools down, then I will put it in the refrigerator until it is cool enough that I can handle it to remove the bones. This looks amazing. So 2 broths done, minimal effort, extremely frugal way to utilize chicken bones and beef bones. The broth cooled enough in the refrigerator for me to handle. I took the bones out and I took any meat out, separated that, so I just have broth now. This is our beef broth. This is our chicken broth. Look at the deep, rich color. That's the beef, that's the chicken. And what I'm going to do now is cover them and get them into the refrigerator immediately. I did want to say that the beef bones were roasted. In other words, they were cooked when we cooked the prime rib originally. So these are not raw bones. These are cooked bones that have already been cooked and roasted. And they just give broth such an amazing flavor. So now I'm going to get this right into the refrigerator. It's the next day and you could see the fat has separated from our beef broth. And we're just going to remove that. Now over here I have some of my containers that I keep and reuse over and over again. What I do with the broth, some are 1 cup, some are 2. And I will put them in the cup. I'm going to label them and I will do that until it's all packed up. And now we're going to do the same thing for the chicken stock. How easy was that? Now all those little containers are stacked in our freezer. Now you can use plastic Ziploc bags to store broth in as well. And what you can do is put a cup or 2 of broth in a Ziploc bag and then freeze them flat on a cookie sheet until they're hard, and you could stack them that way. We have resorted to using little plastic containers that stack beautifully. Those flour tortillas we made, yeah, wait till you see them. It's been about a week, and yeah, I'm gonna turn the camera around, show you what we did with them. Because yes, Emmy has a habit of breaking a piece off, eating it, and just putting the rest back. So we're gonna show you how we turned them into a company-worthy snack. Turn this camera around, come on in the kitchen. Remember our humble homemade flour tortillas? Well, this is what is left. And you could see what we did. Well, actually, it's me. I would grab a half and just rip it off. Yep, that's me. I'd have it with a little cheese or something like that. But now they're starting to get dry and we don't want them to go to waste. So we are going to turn them into some yummy cinnamon sugar tortilla chips. Super easy. Let's get to it. So all we have to do with this is just take a little bit of softened butter. Not a lot. And we're going to just put it on each tortilla, and I'm going to do this to each one. So I preheated my oven to 400 degrees. Remember, when you do something like this, try to do it around a time when you're baking or cooking something else in the oven as well. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of sugar. This is plain old white cane sugar. And then I'm going to take a little bit of cinnamon, and then I'm just going to go over it again. Then I am going to take my Mickey Mouse pizza cutter, and I'm going to do, to the best of my ability, some triangles or squares or whatever you want. How's that? That looks good. Be careful. Pizza cutters are so sharp. You always ask me for frugal, inexpensive snack ideas. This is one of the best. You're using up something you have. You control the sugar. It is just a perfect little light treat. So I'm going to finish up with the other two. I adore when I do these zero waste food videos. I really do, because you all challenge me to be creative. Now, those three unappetizing, somewhat hard, somewhat stale tortillas are now going to become a really fun snack that I bet we will devour within a day or two. So that's a win-win. I'm going to put them in a 400-degree oven for about 8 to 10 minutes now, and then we'll check them. These cooked in a 400-degree oven for just about 10 minutes. But keep an eye on them because every oven is different. They're still sizzling. Now, what you need to do is move these quickly. Be careful, super hot, to a wire cooling rack, because we don't want them to get soft. We want them to crisp up. Now, you could make these savory as well. You could have put the butter on them, and you could have put some onion powder, garlic powder, chili powder, whatever savory ingredients you'd like. But we don't have anything sweet in the house, and this is really not that sweet, but it will make a delightful little snack. Now, if you wanted to get really creative, you could make a icing out of some powdered sugar, a little milk, and vanilla. You could drizzle that over these, and they would be party worthy at that point. But we're just going to leave them as is. They look amazing. What a difference from those beat up little tortillas we saw a minute ago. Like I said, you could have ramped those up. You could use them with a cream cheese dip. You could have put icing on them. We ate them just like that. They were so good. And you saw what they looked like in the beginning. It was just little torn pieces of tortillas. You know, I let you guys see way too much of who I am, I think, sometimes, but that's okay. I know you love me and we love you. Now we want to show you a couple freezer tricks that we did. Remember the 20-pound bag of rice that we bought in one of our food hauls recently? We're going to show you how we divided that up. We're also going to show you how to make some more room in your freezer in this little segment. So much of being frugal depends on how we can buy those loss leaders and those items we use regularly on sale and freeze them and stock up on them. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So I just emptied my 20-pound bag of rice, and it went into about 3.5-gallon Ziploc freezer bags. And now this will save room in the freezer. It will lay flat. And we have 20 pounds of rice to use. Great way to save money and keep it fresh. You all remember the dollar boxes of pie crust I bought. And it is taking up room in my freezer because I've got the boxes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the crust out of the box and put them in a Ziploc bag. And I reuse my Ziploc bags. Long as there is no raw meat in them, I wash them out and I reuse them. No sense to waste them. So these pie crusts are all going to go in one bag instead of the 4 stacked boxes, which is actually taking up a lot of room in my freezer. Now they are individually sealed, so I don't even have to seal the bag. They're just here all organized. And what I will do is I will take off the side panel from one of the boxes and put it right in here so I have my directions with it. So this is a great way to save on freezer space, and my directions are right in the bag, and these can go right on top now. You can use that tip to remove things from their boxes if they are wrapped inside, or you could transfer it to a Ziploc bag. The only thing you have to remember is take the directions off if it's something you have to cook and put it in the bag with the product. so we don't forget and lose that. For our final segment, I found another ingredient in the refrigerator. So we went to our 1940s cookbook, and I'm going to show it to you in a minute, and you can even screenshot the recipe if you want. I held it over the book for a minute. Now, there was a little error I made in preparing the recipe, but we plowed through anyway, and it came out perfect. This was amazing. I'm not kidding. We actually ate it for breakfast the next day toasted. So we hope this recipe blesses you beyond delicious, honestly. We are continuing on using what we find in our refrigerator and freezer. I have a little bit of blueberries in here and a little bit of blueberries in here. Yeah, that's how we roll. You just grab whatever containers in front, and obviously we didn't realize we had both started a container. So I'm going to use these up. I turned to my American Woman's Cookbook, which was printed in the early 40s. And I looked up blueberry recipes. I found this recipe, and you can take a screenshot of it. Cottage pudding. No idea what it will be like. The issue with older cookbooks is they are not up to today's modern safety food standards. It says to cook somewhere between 375 and 400, so that's kind of broad. And it tells me to put it into a greased pan, but guess what? No size. And I'm going to make the blueberry cottage pudding. They're telling me to put it in muffin tins, but I'm going to do the cake and just add the blueberry. We're going to try this, and we're going to make some cottage pudding. So that was 1 cup of flour and a half cup of flour. And I'm going to take 3 teaspoons of baking powder, add that. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to add a half a cup of sugar. I'm going to add about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to give this a good whisking. It called for a 1/4 cup of shortening, but I'm going to use 4 tablespoons of butter instead. I don't even keep shortening in the house. Add the 1 egg. Okay. Emmy made a little tiny mistake. I was supposed to add the sugar to the butter and the egg mixture. I was supposed to cream it all together, and I'm going to add the milk to this as well. I'm sure it'll be fine, but we will see. Hopefully this will be okay. So I'm just mixing it all together right now. It came together nicely despite my little error of mixing the wrong ingredients together. But it all comes together at the end anyway. So I'm going to add all the blueberries I have because, like I said, I really need to use these up. But it only called for a cup of blueberries. But I'm just adding a little bit extra because I have them. I'm just going to incorporate this. So this is about an 8.5-inch pan. It didn't tell me what size pan. I think this one should be fine. Now I'm going to take our cottage pudding, which probably is going to come out to be like a cake. I'm assuming it doesn't look like a pudding, but I love these old-timey recipes. The more I am finding these recipes, the more I realize how simple and frugal they are. As prices climb, we need to get back to cooking like this. Simple, basic ingredients, making our own home-baked goods. This is going to be amazing. I think my son and my husband are going to love it. It said between 375 and 400 degrees. I'm putting it in 375. It also said 35 to 45 minutes. I'm going to put it in for 35 minutes. I'm going the low side on temperature and time, only because we're not sure. We just pulled our blueberry cottage pudding out of the oven. It cooked at 375 for about 33 minutes. It started to get brown on the top, and I checked it with a toothpick, and the toothpick came out clean. It looks delicious. We're going to let it cool for a while, and I think what I'm going to do when I serve it is just put a little sprinkling of powdered sugar on it. Okay, so we're gonna cut into this. I made a mess of the first piece. The first piece, I always have such a problem getting it out. There we go. Now that one's camera worthy. It looks wonderful. with some whipped cream or a little bit of ice cream, but we're not going to put anything on it. Well, I'm going to give this a taste, but my hair is up in a bun and I look like I don't know what. So, oh, that's good. That is delicious. It is light. It is not sweet by any means. A dollop of whipped cream would really send this over the edge, but just as a simple dessert, really, really good. 2 thumbs up. So definitely give this one a try. That cookbook is a wealth of information. The only thing I advise, I've said this before, you purchase any older cookbook, you must adhere to our modern day food safety, preparation, and storage. We want to thank you again so much for the outpouring of love on our last video. That's what makes this channel so amazing. That's what makes you all part of our family. Now, the part you've probably all been waiting for, the winner of our Disney Happy Planner giveaway. So let's get right to that. Okay, it's that time.
One lucky winner.
Yay! Okay, so we're at the YouTube comment picker. I put right here the URL of the video. It's a little after 12 p.m. Eastern time on Friday the 11th, and it's time to do the giveaway. So what we're doing is, because I said that we were going to do it by comment, include replies to comments, filter comments based on a specific text, and that text was Disney. So now we're going to get my YouTube comments from the Happy Planner giveaway. Oh, look at all these comments. Okay, we've got 555 comments. Are you ready? Here it goes. Kelly Grody? I'm thinking it might be Grody. Yes, congratulations. Wonderful, Kelly. Congratulations.
Kelly.
Yay! Here's the name. I hope I pronounced it right. There you go. Congratulations. So congratulations to our winner. You received this entire pack. Woo! We are so happy you won. Congratulations.
Yay.
Woo!
Yay.
Now, please make sure you send me your full name and mailing address. Please send it to frugalmoneysaver@gmail.com, and we will get this amazing little package out to you. Our question of the day is, what is your number 1 zero food waste tip that you can share with us and our viewers? What's the one thing that you consistently do to not waste food? Please share that with us. We would love to hear it, and leave a comment down below with it. Please give this a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Remember, we love you. We ask you to stay safe. We ask you to stay well. And above all, we wish you blessings. Until our next video, bye-bye. Congratulations.